Well, 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 students beware. Just when I thought I'd seen it all. So there's a lot of things you have to do as a student of radiography, student of any program really, but where you're getting licensed and certified in order to perform the job that you're learning how to do in school. I've got a lot of videos that tell you how to investigate the school, and this channel's been up for like 5, 6 years, and I've been talking about it for years and years. Research the instructors, research the school, research the clinical sites, research your clinical instructors. One of the easiest ways is to just go on LinkedIn and look at their resume and see if they're hopping around a lot or, changing jobs a lot, that kind of thing. But this is one I haven't shared before. You, as a student, have two main sections of your program. One is the classroom setting, also called the didactic, or it's really where you're learning the material that will be on your national board exam. And then the second, equally as important part of your program is your clinical instruction or your clinical rotations. And that's where you're in a healthcare facility, whether it's a hospital or outpatient clinic or imaging center or urgent care, whatever. Your purpose there is to basically learn the skills of the job so that you can perform the job once you graduate and pass the boards. So you can look at it this way: the school's job is to teach you how to pass the boards, and the clinical side, the purpose of that is to teach you how to do the job itself, the hands-on, how to position patients, use the equipment, all that kind of stuff. It's like the old apprenticeship, back in the day before programs, there was apprenticeships. If you want to learn how to be a farrier, you followed the local farrier around for a year or two and learned how to do it, and then started to do it on your own. Or if you want to be a metal worker, you were an apprentice with the metal worker in town for a year or two, and you learned what you needed to learn. And so, schools evolved where you go to the school to learn, but most traditional schools are book work and you get a degree. Technical schools are where you go to learn a trade, or trade schools, in other words. You learn how to you do the trade and then go out and get the job. That's a whole nother discussion there. The universities are failing on a bigger and bigger level of preparing people for the job force. But the technical schools are usually where it's at, because you're not guaranteed a job when you exit, but you at least have the skill, and it's up to you to apply that skill. But when you're in these clinical sites, you're basically being taught how to perform an exam, and you're being monitored by someone there. It can be another technologist, it could be the clinical instructor, the supervisor, whoever. People are assigned to watch you while you do your exam. So one philosophy is see one, do one, teach one, right? You watch them do one, and then you do one yourself for practice, and then you teach it back to the instructor when you're doing it, or the clinical instructor. And once you've done it successfully without error, you get signed off on that particular procedure. And it's called a competency, or getting comped is what it's often called. And in order to sit for the national exam to get a job after you're all done, you not only have to pass all these exams in the classroom, but you have to pass all these competencies in the clinical site. Well, one of the main stipulations from the governing boards of all of radiography is that whoever's signing off these competencies, that what you're doing, has to be a licensed radiographer. So what happens if you get 20, 30, 40 comps out of 200 down the road, and you find out that the person that's been signing off your competencies isn't a licensed radiographer? Then what? Bet you never thought of that before. So how do you prevent something like that from happening? You have to go to the website where you can check to see who's credentialed and who isn't, and put in the name. All you need is the first and last name of the person, and you can publicly check the licensure of any radiographer, sonographer, anybody through the ARRT. You can check and see if they have a license. You don't have to have a membership. You don't have to be in the field. Anybody can go and check. I had a company supplying me with a mobile MRI machine when we needed another scanner. Our volumes were up so high that our scanner wasn't cutting it. We had to have an additional scanner, and we had an educator on staff who was worth her weight in gold. Hi to Melissa, if you're out there. And she was doing her routine checks, and not only on staff to make sure everybody was current and hadn't let anything lapse, but on our adjunct, if you will, and found out that the person running that scanner had let their license lapse. And she promptly notified the company we were getting that tech from, and they were unaware. I believe they were unaware. And so that, had to be resolved. But you don't want to be a student finding out that the person who's been signing off your competencies is not licensed after the fact. So add to your list, you students out there, add to your list of things to do. Check on the licensure of the people that are signing off your competencies, because if you get signed off by somebody who's not licensed and it gets back to the ARRT, you probably have to repeat all of those competencies. Or can you have their supervisor go back and sign them off? I don't know, because they weren't there. They weren't in the room. They didn't watch you do it. So just when you thought it was safe to trust your school and trust your clinical site to be the stewards of your education, there's balls being dropped. So heads up, hope it gets figured out.